In 1967, Martin Seligman and Stephen Meyer placed a group of dogs into a two-chambered shuttle box. The floor of the first chamber was electrified with mild shocks, but the dogs could escape to the safe side by jumping a low barrier. Instead, dogs exposed to inescapable shocks earlier in the experiment simply lay down and whimpered. For nearly 50 years, psychology taught that these animals actively learned to be helpless. However, in 2016, those same researchers used modern neural imaging to overturn their original theory. Animals and humans do not learn to be helpless. Passive surrender is actually the mammalian brain's unlearned, factory default response to prolonged distress. During uncontrollable pain, the dorsal raphe nucleus fires intensely, flooding your brain with serotonin. This paralyzes motivation and triggers fear. But control must be learned. The medial prefrontal cortex detects controllable behavior, sending an inhibitory signal that shuts down the serotonin firestorm and suppresses passivity. This means that the experience of resilience is an active, mechanical prefrontal response. To override the biological urge to surrender, the prefrontal cortex must be manually engaged to shut down these default brainstem loops. In the early 1960s, extensive personality testing showed that the average American college student possessed a highly internal locus of control. They generally believed their life outcomes were the direct result of their own deliberate effort and abilities. This chart tracks the baseline's erosion. Between 1960 and 2002, internal control dropped 0.80 standard deviations, showing a massive drift toward an external locus of control. To protect their egos, individuals frequently claim successes as personal victories, but blame failures on rigged systems or luck. This chronic externalization of blame hardens into a generalized worldview over time. By habitually outsourcing responsibility to protect our egos, we fail to trigger the prefrontal signals necessary to suppress the brainstem, leaving the default surrender mode in charge of how we react to challenges. Clinical psychologists treat this cognitive paralysis using a three-step protocol called Attribution Retraining. It forces the prefrontal cortex to take over by systematically changing how you explain your outcomes. Step 1 is the assessment. Think of a specific recent failure in your life, perhaps a missed deadline or a difficult argument. Why did that happen? This grid maps answers on two dimensions, locus and stability. Is the cause internal or external, permanent or temporary? Most excuses hit three dangerous zones. I lack talent blames internal stable ability. The system is rigged blames external stable difficulty. Bad day relies on external unstable luck. Explaining failure through a permanent character flaw or a rigged system creates a cognitive dead end. You cannot change future behavior if you believe the cause is completely out of your hands. This leaves the target zone, the internal, unstable bottom left quadrant. This represents effort and strategy. Now, take the failure you thought of a moment ago. Rewrite the reason it happened, but you are only allowed to cite a lack of effort or the wrong strategy. By recording your expectations before a task and forcing your post-event explanations into the effort and strategy quadrant, you train the brain to look for controllable factors. Practicing this journaling over weeks creates a biological payoff. Early successful mastery experiences immunize the neural pathways. The prefrontal cortex becomes primed to suppress the brainstem, building a permanent resistance to helplessness, even when facing severe future trauma. Identify the failure, shift the blame to strategy, journal the outcome. We have linked the research on attribution theory and neurobiology in the description. Subscribe to continue exploring the hidden mechanics of your brain. Treating your locus of control as a daily cognitive workout, rather than a fixed trait, allows you to restructure your brain's response to failure. It shifts the default setting from brainstem-driven passivity to a permanent prefrontal expectation of control.